Welcome back to my video series on learning the Woovebox in almost real time. I've only been able to spend about an hour since the last video that I recorded, and where we left off with that one is what's playing in the background. I've got 3 tracks, a chord track, a bass track, and an arpeggio track. But I don't have a song because I didn't know what songs were. So if I put it in song mode and hit play, nothing happens. The only time we can hear it is when we're inside the individual tracks. I can solo that chord track. So just solo each of the tracks. This is the bass track. This is the arpeggio track on its own. So this is what we have. But I want to make a song. I don't want to have to do what I did in the last video, fade things up by hand, turn the volume knob to fade things in and out. So I want to make a song. So I went back to the Wooveboxing channel and I found a video about song mode. And so here we are. When you scroll through these menus, you start out with the global menu, the effects menu, and then you hit this one, fragment 1 end, it says. Well, what that tells you is that there are no fragments in here. There's no song. So to create a song, I'm going to create this first fragment. I'm going to make it 2 bars long. And in those 2 bars, I can tell it to play the chord track. But there's another behavior here. Behavior play. I can scroll this across. Behavior fade in. So what this does now is over the course of those 2 bars, it fades in that chord track, which is what I want. And so I'm going to fade it in for 2 bars and then play it for 2 bars. So I'm going to take this, find clone fragment, clone that fragment. Okay, so now fragment 2 is a copy of that one. Instead of fading in, I'm going to tell it to play, behavior play. So now it'll fade in for 2 bars. Oh, let's go back to fragment 1. Okay, here we go, fading in for 2 bars and then playing for 2 bars. And so now I want to add my bass track. So I'm going to clone this fragment again, and in fragment 3, wait a second, I think I just cloned that into the wrong spot. So fragment 2, I'm going to delete that one because I'm pretty sure I just cloned on top of it. Clone, insert, delete fragment. All right, so fragment 1 is the fade in. Fragment 2 is just playing. Great, so go back to here. Clone fragment 2 into fragment 3. Now fragment 3, I'm going to add my bass track, and I'm going to have it fade in. Over 2 bars. And then fragment 4, I'm going to clone fragment 3. So now this one has the bass track in fragment 4. I'm going to just play that bass track, and while I'm doing it, I'm just going to go ahead and do all of it. So fragment 5 is going to be a copy of fragment 4. It's also going to be 2 bars long, but in fragment 5 I'm going to fade in my arpeggio track. All right, fragment 6, I'm going to play the arpeggio track. Great, let's go back to the beginning and see what we've got. This should be our finished song with all the parts fading in. Let me make a fragment 7 that's 4 bars long that just plays everything we've got. So we build up to it, and then let's just go ahead and play it. Clone it. Go into fragment 7, make this one 4 bars long. There we go. All right, here it is. All right, so the other thing I learned in the last hour is how to change patches on your tracks. So I'm going to go into the chord track, scroll all the way over here to the patch mode, and now I can change the patches. I'll turn that one down, hit play. I'm going to solo the chord track. And by holding one of the patch numbers for a second, it switches to that patch. And these are all pre-made patches that exist within the box. In my first video, I said I was disappointed that it didn't have demo modes. It has a lot of other things, a lot of patches, a lot of usable stuff in here. All right, so let's unsolo this. Solo the. All right, we're going to solo the bass mode, song 1, bass, and let's listen to some of the other bass patches that exist. There we go. I like that. Nice plucky string for the bass. Unsolo it. Solo the bass again. It needs to be a louder patch to... Nah, it doesn't need to be louder. I'm going to put it down lower. There we go. This patch will be below our chord track, so we'll be able to hear it when we All right. And let's do the same thing for the arpeggio. Choose a different patch. I'm going to go with number 8. It's nice and twangy. Sounds like it's going to be a higher pitch than our chord track, and it'll stand out up above it. Let's go back to our global. Unsolo that. Yeah. All right, so now I'll go back to song mode and let's play this with our new patches. All right, so that's what I learned in the last hour playing with the Woovebox. I learned how to make a song. I learned how to change the patches. Still got a long ways to go to create what I want to, but when they say this thing's easy to learn, it really is. You know, once you get a feel for how the menus work, where the different context menus are, and what's inside of them, you really can just kind of whip around through this thing and do stuff. It's hard to believe. There's no There's no keyboard, there's no screen, visual interface, none of the stuff that we're used to when we're making music on a computer with a real DAW. But holy cow, there's a lot that can be done in here. And the biggest thing that can be done, I can drop this thing in my pocket, go hike up a mountain, look out at the landscape, get inspired, and sit down and make some music based on what I'm experiencing anywhere that I am. And that's the reason I got this device, and it really is living up to its promise. At this point, I don't have hardly any control over what I produce, but I can tell that it's not going to be very long before I do, and I'm able to make the music that I want. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching this, and I'll got some other stuff to do. Gotta set up some things in my greenhouse, rearrange some things in my shop, do a little winterizing, but I'll be back to learning some more stuff on the Woovebox this afternoon, and when I learn something interesting, I'll make another video and show you what that is. See you later.